Yeah.
Hello, guys. Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Can you all hear me? Let's check in the microphone. Good start of the week. Spy dump. Nice. Yes, perfect. Thank you, Gail, for confirming.
It's crazy.
Thank you,
Hold on.
thank you.
Making sure I can hear. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh my. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. I'll go to mute.
No worries. You're good. Just checking the chat, checking that everyone is getting here. Part of the idea, guys, it's to go through a pre-market routine that I do, and just wanted to share what do I do before, like for example, tomorrow on the pre-market, what do I watch? How do I arrange my charts? What do I see? Yes, guys, I'm still in Spain. It's 2 a.m. Here. I have to stay here until the 22nd because the dog is gonna be allowed to travel on the 21st. Hey, Ramsey, what's up? Yeah, the dog is going to be allowed. The 6 month are valid on the 21st. So I'm able to travel on the 22nd. Yeah, it's 2 a.m. Yeah. Yeah, it's still this schedule. It's a little bit killing me a little bit here. I tried the thing is like in Spain, everyone goes to sleep like around 12, guys. Like it's if you go outside to the streets, everyone's drinking a beer, is buying like eating a sandwich with prosciutto and stuff like that. And it's just a normal thing. It will be jamon serrano. Sorry, for sure it will be in Italy, but people go to bed really late here, so it's not as shocking as when I'm in the States that I go to bed like at 9:30. That's not that bad. So one of the things that I like to do normally, guys, is I call my charts without changing them. I'm gonna go to the 30 minutes. Um, and I'm just gonna show you what do I do and what do I see before checking my charts. I'm gonna add some days in here. I'm gonna add 30 days so I can see it more clearly. And let's do it 1 hour. But this is better. This is what I want to show. And one of the things that I always do is um one of the things that I always do, guys, is I go straight to, let me see, you have any questions? 1 second. That's the same um Bollinger Bands. It's just a little indicator that tells me when the bands or the price action is going, at the top of the either up and down and where the volume changes. That's all that it is. It's sort of a beta. So you see how I can see here when it's telling me like it's coming back, it's coming up, it's coming back, it's coming down, it's going down. So it's
Directly
just
built on
a
what we've been talking about. It's effectively
it's just a little indicator that it's telling me that that the volume is changing and the price action is
No
changing
me
to
suelta
towards the
para
side.
nada. Ya me tiene amenazado y no me deja salir con mis camaradas, ni a la cascarita fútbol, ni al billar, ni nada. Mis camaradas me tiran
All
carrilla,
right.
es en la llaverito, porque pues me la paso con ella ahí colgando.
All right. Sorry about that. That you cannot go outside, Norman, but I muted you. Sorry that you cannot go out with your friends and they keep on checking your phone, but I muted you. Sorry about that, guys. No, unmute yourself, son. I already muted him.
Una empanada.
What's up, bro? You had your microphone on, so, and you were, you know, some of that conversation was we were all able to hear it, so I just mute you just in case.
Oh, yeah. No worries.
All right. So one of the idea, guys, is that, this is what I do. One of the things that I always do, it's before anything, I go to Yahoo Finance. Even before I want to check my, um my charts, I go to Yahoo Finance, and that's one of the first things that I like to do. So I always check what's happening on the news. I don't know. Are you able to see right now the chart, or are you watching the Yahoo Finance?
I could see the chart.
You can see the chart only. I don't know if I don't think I need to go through the Yahoo Finance, but I go through Yahoo Finance. Or do you want me to go there? Do you always, guys, go to the news before getting into your charts, or do you not?
I like to check it. Yeah.
Okay, let me go there. I'll check it here. And there we go. You should be able to see it here, right? So I go to Yahoo and Finance, and I'll go through, the headlines. I like to see what's happening. So I got pretty much, this is for me one of the most complete like headline news that I can see. I go sometimes to Webull, but I like the Yahoo Finance, how they say, how they show it around. So what I would like to do here is, I like to see, like, Google, it's about to learn how, DOJ want to remake its empire. I'll go through this. I'll go to, I want to see what names are named, like BOFA stock selling spree surpasses the 10 billion. So what's happening with BOFA? And if you want, like, if you have any, you read the headline, you want to see what's happening, you can always click on the stock here, and you will see if there's any reaction on the stock on, on the 1 day, and you see if there's anything happening so far. But it's always good to check. This is for the BRKB, not for back. So in case that you want to do a quick check on what's happening on back, because of this, I can just jump right away. Nothing that I really want to see here. And I just go back to the news. So this is the first thing that I always like to see, is just check what's happening. Who else do I have there? Okay, muted checks. Let me see. I muted everyone. Everyone is muted, just in case, so we don't have any more problems with that. Sorry. So I like to go here, guys. I like to see headlines like, if anything happening with the oil. There's anything happening with Costco. Costco, it's, keep selling gold, and that's doing great for them. And I just browse anything that I need to see here. I gather, or I take note of any of the names that I see, any headlines. I can even have some investment ideas here of, top daily gainers, the losers, anything that I can just watch on this screen. I don't go into more detail unless there's one of these headlines that is telling me about certain stocks. And after that, I just go back to my, to my chart. Fairly easy. I just want to make sure that, I'm I need to be up to date of what's happening on any news. Well, the other one that I like to go to is Seeking Alpha. Here, Seeking Alpha, like this. And this other website, it's normally pretty complete about the news, a little more technical than financial, the Yahoo Financial. So you will see, the headlines. So if there's anything specific that, keeps my eye, I will jump into the like the discontinuous phase 2 of a certain study. Anything that I can like to see here, I will go to Seeking Alpha, search here, and then from taking notes on those specific names, I will go back to my name. So let me go back to, I'm gonna stop sharing this one. I'm gonna go back, share my chart. And now that I go back to my chart, I know that, for example, I want to see what J&J was doing, just in case, I can grab the 1 hour on J&J if I want to see if there was anything that it was correlated with that news. I can go back to Bank of America after he sold anything. I don't see any reaction here. I can see BRK/B if Berkshire had any moved. It went down. There's nothing happening yet. But this is a way on how I can keep on my radar any names that I need to watch, not by the technical analysis, but by news. So, and we got to be very careful on how do we decide, which news are the ones that are going to be really making a difference on the chart. Because remember, normally you sell the rumor, you buy the rumor and sell the news. So you got to be careful not to jump blindly on news, because you need to see if the price action already happened before jumping in. So and that's really key. So you got to be careful there. Sometimes we want to be ready to jump at open, and we're thinking that it's going to pop, and then the thing just goes down because the news already happened, and the price, we got to check, like for example with Berkshire, if on the pre-market we're going to have some move that it's going to be maybe the move that we're willing to have. So let's see the chart. Can you go there? There we go. Do you know what contributed to sell off in the afternoon? Because I don't see any major news. If we had a figure, what happened? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, to be completely honest, what happened. I know that this is the chart that I was looking at. This is what happened. This is my chart on the bigger time frame. So always, guys, when I jump into my charts on the pre-market, like I don't have the information right now but one of the things that I like to do is I draw my trend lines. So I had this trend line from this past price action. And one of the things that you always want to have your trend line is how many points of contact your trend line has. So I can draw it on 2 points, but I always want to see 3 points of contact, either to go up, down, or whenever it's happening. 3 points of contact is going to make you a little more certain on which direction are we going. So when I drew this too, this is the only thing that I was able to do to see from the price action. But look at what happened today. We have I'm gonna go to the 15 minutes, and I'm using the Bollinger Bands right now, guys. So in my Bollinger Bands, what happened? I knew that I got a resistance at this level, and I knew that we were bouncing on the pre-market at the 262. And what happened? We went all the way until my top of my Bollinger Band, and we had rejection all the way down. So my rejection here was pretty clear. It was, on point with my Bollinger Band. And then from there, this is if you see here, this is my VWAP, the pink one, always like my purple one. It's going to be the VWAP, and rejection, 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 rejection. And then we have the huge rejection afterwards, and then kind of stay there on the aftermarket. But it was sort of simple to watch. And then depending on which indicator you were using, on this screen that I have right now, the TTM squeeze, it was squeezing, 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 squeezing. And when it opened down. It opened completely downward. And that's the squeeze that we had. So you got to be paying attention to, depending on what indicator you're watching, what's going to happen. But on the pre-market, remember, if I was not able to see anything, but this is what we were watching, because we're talking about how do I prepare for the pre-market? What do I wanted to see on the pre-market? Well, on the pre-market, I knew that we had this little change on the direction that I thought that this was, a little pop that we were going to have. And as you can see, this is my point of rejection. The word rejection, rejection, rejection. And then on Friday, we had this little price action happening here on Monday. Like yesterday, when we pop up, we sort of had this support, on our previous resistance. We went up and then we perfectly stopped here. So what my common sense is telling me, well, on the pre-market, if we are bouncing here, we might keep on, resist supporting this level, and we might just trade around this area here. So I was prepared just to see if there was, any resistance again, either here, or if we were able to break and retest my lower level and then trade down. So what happened is, this is what my price action brought. We never went all the way to our previous resistance, but we resisted right before going higher up. And then all of a sudden we broke. Kind of here we went, if I go a little on detail, we went down, we tried to, go back up, and then we just broke down and down and down and kept down. One of the things that we need to watch is what my, how my candlestick action was telling me. And then if I just follow one of my indicators, my MACD, my TTM squeeze told me that we were going down, down, down with a lot of strength all the way until here. And here we had some weakness that you can see how, the price action tried to go a little, again to the middle. So it seems kind of fairly simple, but there's a lot of things that we have to keep into consideration. If we had no clue what was happening, I needed to see that, well, my assumption is we're might gonna have the price action going back on top, but that never happened. So one of the things that I need to be ready to do when this happen is, you need to be careful at open. And if you want to do a quick scalp and try to trade that price action, I mean, that's possible, but you got to be very, very careful on how to set your stop losses in case that, it went the wrong way. Because imagine that you were trying to jump right here and say, oh, this is going to go up, and just going to, this is what my information is telling me, and I'm sure that the thing is just going to pop. And then you were in calls, and then all of a sudden, you just have that change of, you thought that here, like, oh, we're going higher, 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 and all of a sudden you find this resistance, and this change of direction. So one of the things that I encourage is, depending on which indicator you're using, look at how mine told me that here, if I knew that if you are away from my Bollinger Bands, normally that means that you are, overbought, and that I gotta be careful that, there is gonna be a change of direction. If I have a change of direction and I come here, here's when I have to be careful that we have resistance, all this, and then all of a sudden we flush. So always there are things that you can do. Like I could have just draw a line like this and see where all the way until when my price action was broken here, and then kind of confirm with my, Bollinger Band that we were just flushing. And that's why you can use those trend lines that I always like to use, guys. Always, always very practical, because it's just easier to see. It's easier visually. And so what's if after watching the news, I'll go to the NQ. Second thing, yes. Are they going to be the same? Not necessarily. Look at how the price action on the ES was a little different today. Same thing like what happened here. We have some, on the aftermarket, we thought like, okay, we're jumping higher, 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 and all of a sudden, we have a rejection here on the previous day, on Friday, from Friday to Monday. Monday, we had this huge dump, a big, big, big point of support, and then again, we were like, okay, this is a B kind of recovery, and we're gonna go higher. We jumped even higher than the previous day, but we never actually held on top of 5,800. So we went lower, 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 all the way here again from 5,800 to 57. And then I thought that, well, maybe, with this price action, we might go higher. And I'd have my 1, 2, 3 trend line with, telling me that we might be inside this trend line. And I got another trend line coming from here. And if I go to my price action, what happened? Well, I got from those, conjunction of that trend line, never passed on top of it. And then all of a sudden what happened? We broke and retested and went completely down. So that's why it's very key, so you can have an idea of what's happening on your pre-market. And of course, here I knew that I thought that this was going higher, and then all of a sudden, if you see here, we got a squeeze, and the squeeze opened up all the way on the lower section. That's because I'm using a TTM squeeze. Remember that you can be using any different type of indicator, and it can change. You only need to be careful on what indicator you're using and how that indicator is going to be used. And if you're respecting, the levels, are we squeezing? Are you using the TTM squeeze? Are you using the MACD? Are you using the 50 FMA? If I go here to my charts, and this is the other part that I do normally, if I go to my charts and I go to this is my longer term chart. What I wanted to see is, well, I know that the price action, I had my previous sort of, trend lines here. And now, let me move this a little lower. I move this here. And if I move this manually here, and I open this so we can see the price action a little bit better. So we can watch this. So you can see here, I thought that this was a very important previous support. Why? Because this is where my touch of the 20 daily SMA, as you may know, if you trade with me or have you heard any of my lectures, I always do all my trades based on the daily SMAs. So the 20, the 50, the 100, and I always look for support on those daily SMAs. And from there, I will go normally blindly that I'm going to try to see for a bounce, or if we break, that we're going to just go below those. And when I watched here that, the price action on the 1 hour, we were really respecting this price action. I said, okay, we're going higher. And then all of a sudden, what happened? We went and we broke it. We saw a sort of look below, and now we're trying to hold it again. So what happened right now is, if I had no clue what was happening on the price action, I thought that, okay, we bounced at the 20, and I had no clue what was happening here. So I thought that, well, we might respect this 20, or at least I know that the worst that can happen is that we go all the way to the 20. Even if we just flush, I will have a trim or getting out of my position when we touch the 20, because that's normally going to be a strong support. So when I see here, if you see how the price action develop with my trend lines from the pre-market, you see how they perfectly went. They tried to go to this previous level, never hold it, and then we went completely down. That's in the 1 hour. If I go to the 50 minutes, you can see more in detail that we try to hold the trend line inside this little, rectangle here. And it never happened on this triangle here, sorry. And we tried to go, never had a complete candle holding above. It's just look above, look above, look above, and we broke and perfectly resisted. So I knew that at the conjunction of this price action here, that we were coming down. And it's not that I knew, but that's where my price action is telling me. And here's where I will grab puts blindly and try to see, okay, I will grab a put here, and I will put a 10% or a 20% stop loss and see if the flush is going to be complete or not. And the price action just developed, and look where we bounced. What is this? My 20 daily SMA. So we bounced right here, and this is what's happening on the aftermarket. So for tomorrow, what do I expect? I expect the price action to bounce around here and try to go around this area again. And that's I'm gonna try to see if I can draw another trend line after these are already gone and not valid anymore. These are invalidated because the price action already broke them. I'm gonna try to see from here if the pre-market is gonna, go lower, or if it goes anywhere higher bouncing from here, I will be able to draw another trend line and see if it's gonna respect exactly like this. And from here, I might be able to draw this, and it's gonna always depend on the pre-market. I'm gonna be able to draw something like this, and you see I have two touches right there. And I'm gonna try to see if anything goes near here, or if I see any price action going towards this trend line, I'm going to be very careful not to hold my full position on it. Why? Because I have two touches here and it's been resistant downward. So I got to be careful with that.
Yo,
So
Empanada, this is kind of like SPX, right?
why? Why SPX?
I was looking at level on SPX, the 5680. Um, we saw no type of strength today. The only name we saw was Nvidia, but I mean, once Nvidia gave that gains, you saw that huge selling pressure.
Yeah, you see how here's my XPX. And you see how we gapped up, we gapped down, we gap up on Monday to here, and then we kind of gave back sort of that move and went completely down. For here, when I got this price action on my SPX, I only have these, my 50 and my 200 SMA, and when this went down like this, it's when you see that, this crossing of this, that it was going really down. Yeah, we have like most of the problem is we had no clue what happened on SPX on the pre-market. Remember, we're trying to, how do we prep? Like we don't see the price action until we open on SPX, Norman. So one of the troubles that we have is what do you get from this chart here? What do you think that it's going to happen on the SPX? We have no clue because we have no guidance. So what do we do normally? We go to the SPY, right? We go to SPY to see what's going to happen on the pre-market. So in what the pre-market's showing us, remember, this is the only information that we have. And what we have is, well, we have a strong resistance on Monday out of the 565 on SPY. We went all the way to 572. That was a previous support, a previous rejection. What happened? We rejected it again perfectly. Then we held this previous, again, support. We held it perfectly. And once again, we respected the same previous rejection that we had before. But then this is the pre-market, right? We went down again and we held it again. So, and if you're using just these two indicators, I'm using here my 200 SMA. You see, how do we touch the 200 SMA? And we're going back up. So what are my expectations here? That I might try to either be careful with my 50 SMA or I'm gonna just reject again on this previous rejection, because that's what's happening. We have never been able to break up, or we are not necessarily coming down, correct? This is what we're watching. This is what we have so far. What happened? Well, we open. At the open, nothing really happened. We have some really kind of like sideways. And all of a sudden, we have this candle rejecting, below my 50 SMA. Remember, guys, you don't need to be using the 50 SMA or the 200. I'm just looking what the indicators that I'm using for you. The indications might be a little bit different how they look, just because you're using maybe the VWAP or you're using maybe the EMA, but you're always gonna see you're gonna find the same reference with one of your EMAs, your SMAs, or any indicator you're using. You're gonna find a sort of resistance that it was coming here, that it's repeating from before. And then you see how we never, look how beautiful we respected the 50. We went up, we never had some separation out of the 50. So this is weak price action, weak. I thought that after this candle here, because this was a strong bullish candle, and then we open higher. And I said like, well, what's the key reading here? this next candle needs to open higher and get some space away from my indicator. Did it happen? No, it opened higher and then it closed below my previous one. So this was a weakening, and then here you will see more resolution that we're coming lower down. So was this the best one to get in? Maybe this was a kind of a faker, but if you held a little more, you say like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the break came at last. But this was a really like a tricky price action if you were playing puts here, because it took a long time up and down and some strong bull price action on the candles to actually break. So the safest break was below our this level. And you can always remember, if you grab this and this all the way down, that's a perfect trade. You don't need to grab it from point A to point B, from where it came the beginning to all the way to the end. We hardly ever grab the whole move. But if you were able to say, well, this is my previous resistance here, if I see a break from here coming down anywhere here, and this is the 15 minutes, if I go to the 5 minutes, we're going to have a better interpretation here, because this is what happened here. You see that we held here, and look at this break here. It's the best one, because you could have just draw a little tiny trend line here and say, well, if I don't hold this position, this is your entry. Why? Because on the pre-market, I bounced there. This was pretty strong. So if I don't hold it, here's where the flush came. And if you were able to trade this 1, 2, 3, 5, this is 20 minutes here, 25 minutes, all the way down, you're all set. This was the trade of the day. That's it. You don't need anything else. And if you jumped here on SPX, because you're a little riskier, even less. Here was the whole move, and you're completely out, and you're done with at least trading SPY or SPX. So, but you see how this little move here, it's setting my parameter on where am I going to be watching if I'm holding this price action, if I'm holding this previous price action, if I'm able to break these previous rejections. So that's one of the most important things that we need to see. And then depending, as I said, on what indicators you're using, well, I'll go to this. So, but one of the things that I'll go, so news first, then I'll go my technology, how my technology is doing. If I know that my technology is flushing, if I see this happening, what do we know with normally my technology stocks are doing? Oh, they're doing something, kind of like this. So let's check. Let's see what NVIDIA is doing, or it did on the pre-market. So what happened today on NVIDIA before the move today? Look at what happened on NVIDIA today.
That's why it was kind of tricky for me, Empanada, because I
What was
trade
tricky?
QQQ every day, and I just scalp it, but I was seeing like Apple, Microsoft, they were all down, Meta, Amazon, everything was down except Nvidia and Broadcom.
Yeah,
And
but
then
remember you can always have certain moves based on news or different things. So not all the market, I mean, when you see these moves that are different than what's happening on the overall market, you got to be careful with which one are you going to follow. Because if you were expecting NVIDIA to trade, this is what we had on the pre-market. Look, we had no more information. This is what we're watching right now. And what happened? What we saw on the NQ happening, it resisted, it went a little lower, and then this is where I drew this was my overnight low from the price action. This is what I draw normally, like my pre-market highs, pre-market low. This is what happened, and I knew that I thought that we should be trading within this range. And why do I want to know that? Because, well, I was not that far away from what happened on the previous day. So I'm maintaining sort of this block of trading. And to our surprise, when we saw this happening, look at what happened at open. Boom. We had one first candle telling you, be careful. I went up, but I resisted this. You see? We got the first 5-minute candle resisted perfectly our previous resistance. We have 1 touch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 touches. Here, it happened again. But then the second 5-minute candle, it was a massive 5-minute candle all the way up, breaking all the way until our next level. And what happened on the next one? It went all the way up and flushed. And then here's where we see more or less our price action, break, retest. Then we have a huge pump again. And we confirm that, we had a new resistance on this price action, never were able to hold it, and we're staying at this price action. So let's just for purposes of what do we see for tomorrow here? What do you think that it's going to happen tomorrow? So we broke with NVIDIA, we broke all these, huge price action. We went all the way higher, and look where we're staying. So what can I assume from the price action that happened today? That I'm gonna be holding above 127.47, and that's gonna be my new resistance from here. What I expect is that we're gonna try. I'm gonna try to find 2 trades. So my best trades here are gonna be, and remember, I don't know what's happening on the pre-market, but what happened on the pre-market is gonna set how am I gonna think. But either if I hold here, I'm gonna try to find. I don't think I'm gonna. I won't play a call because I don't like this, So if I trade higher here, there are 2 things that I'm going to look for: a flush to 127. So I will be trying to see if I go to the downside, or if in case this happens, the only time that I can play calls on NVIDIA is if I break below here and I stay around this area. If on the price action we open and we start coming down, here is going to be a place where I might buy or try to get calls, because this is a not natural point of resistance, of support. So if I find my support here, I'm going to I'll try. If it works or not, I'm going to be based on my past price action. The other one, it's going to be if I go up and down and I stayed at 127, I might think that I might go and revisit this price action here. And then if I break and stay above 120, we might see higher. So, but at open, I'm not going to be trying just to see if I just go from here in the middle of this price action and up. And then where I play short, if I open and I'm around this area and we try to go higher, I will try to buy shorts around this area. Why? Because, well, that's where we resisted before. I'm not going to try to buy more calls here. And if I break down and I'm stay below here, I'm going to be careful not to buy calls if I'm below this price action. I'm going to try to see if we might have another flush to revisit this price action. So that's the only things that I can gather so far with the information that I have. But that's really important. What we knew what happened today is, well, the NQ kind of flushed, and I know that my NVIDIA flushed here. So you see the correlation, like you see my NQ came down on the pre-market here, and NVIDIA came down too. Let's see what Tesla did. What Tesla did? Well, Tesla was a little bit of a different monster. Tesla did not flush as hard as the other ones. It maintained, you see how it's maintaining my indicators. For this time, I'm using the 50 and the 200 only. And it's keeping the 200. And when it opened, it flushed. So I see my cross here of my, the 50 on top of the 200. It went down. And went down, 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 and it went all the way down. So it perfectly, you see the cross, it broke. So it stayed, retested, and broke it again. And now Tesla is on below the most important key for me is that it's below my 20 daily SMA, because here I thought that we were staying above the 20 daily SMA and we might just bounce here and go up. When I see this break, what I want to see on the pre-market tomorrow is, if I stay below, I'm buying puts on Tesla tomorrow. If I don't see Tesla breaking up and I see resisting my 20 daily SMA, I'm going down. But the thing is, I'm going down, but I have this price action here. So if if I see a 242 Tesla still resisting my 20 daily SMA, am I gonna jump as my with a full position just to find another resistance at 240? Probably not. My best trade is gonna be, if I'm trying to play the short, wait until we break 240 on the way down and then try to go to 236 or lower. Because remember, we need to assess if my risk reward it's good enough. So from here, if I'm at 242 to 240, if I want to do a quick scalp or something like that, maybe, but might not be the best one. Oh, that you snipe this level and then we flush from here all the way down. If it happens, it's great. But my levels are telling me that I might find resistance here. So there's one thing that if I get lucky that we break down, and the other thing is what my instructions are telling me. And my instructions are telling me that you got to be careful here. So I'm not going to jump there. So, but what am I looking to see on the pre-market? I want to see the price action going on top. Oh, if I see Tesla going on top of my daily SMA, what I'm going to happen? Well, I'm going to see that I have this range now to trade. So if I hold 244, I might jump from 244 all the way to 251. Oh, that's a great trade for me. And I can set up my stop loss anywhere below this price action here or this level. So that's what I'm looking for. But you see how some of, like, we still had this little drop from the NQ, but Tesla held a lot stronger. Maybe because of news, maybe because of, Lucid was making money, so the EVs were getting more money. It depends. You got to be careful always I always have my news open just in case to see if there's anything affecting that specific name. So once I go, guys, from the NQ and I go to my ES to see what the broader price action is happening on the market, then I go to my specifics. I will go to my QQQ and I just try to see, it's going to be more or less the same than what's happening on the NQ, but I just want to see my levels where we are and I can set up. You see how this one is a good one. What happened with my QQQ? You see how before I had any idea what happened, I got my price action 1, 2 touches, and I had a third touch on my trend line. So I was able to see that this was a very strong trend line here. And what happened at open while I have that trend line? And remember, all of this is without having any clue what's happening with my price action. If I let it trade and I don't jump straight away, and I give a little time to this trade, what happened here? Look at how we respected my trend line perfectly. Respected it, and then from here, I knew that if we break the trend line, we were flushing. Oh, we were flushing, and then we have a little resistance here. So it was up to my decision. I want to scalp and do this, the same that's happening with Tesla, or I want to grab it here and then have this flush all the way down. So here's the better for me, but here is a snipe, and if you got lucky, we jump to the next level, and then we stay in lower on the Qs. Same thing with the Qs. What do we need to see on the pre-market? Well, I assume that this price action is going to stay here, and either we're going to jump and go back to this level, or we're going to go here and maybe break even lower. But that's why it's so important to assess what the pre-market is going to happen. Let me see. I have some questions here in the chat and go through them. 1 second. Do you know what country? No, Ramsey. I don't know what happened today with the news. I'm not with the change of times that I'm having here in Europe. I'm not fully aware all the time of what's happening with the news. So no, I don't know. And it didn't make sense because none of the speakers that are talking today are really relevant for a change of the price action. So I have no clue, and I have no clue why it happened at the end of the day at 2:30. So if anyone knows, please enlighten me. Fibonacci retracement levels, yes, you can use them, Gail. If you have any, like if you see the open going down and you have any of the price action happening before that, you can use try to use for the 50 Fibonacci retracement on the yes to have a reference on where we should bounce or where we should need to go. Yeah, semiconductor sales, sword. I was looking at, Lena, I was looking at SMH. If you see, let me move this to the side, and you see SMH here. Look at how SMH went crazy with everyone was flushing. So other thing that we need to know, guys, look at the price action on SMH on the pre-market. It was shitty. What like we gapped down. We went up here, and the SMH, this was kind of like shitty. And then all of a sudden we open, we stay above our level here. We stay above our level, and look at this price. So was everything flushing? Was everything coming down? Well, we have to see what, when something's flush, some other ones are jumping. So if you don't want to trade the short, well, this was a beautiful long today, and respected it, and we stay above this level. So what am I expecting to see from the SMH tomorrow? That we're gonna held 247 and we're gonna try to go higher above 250. Let's see if that happens. But I cannot make any educated decision until I see what's happening on the pre-market, and I draw some trend lines. I want to see some trend lines to see what's going to happen. But this was pretty tricky on the SMH, Lena. Will you show how you make your level range red rectangle? I mean, how far left do you see? Yes, I'm going to go through that right now. Can you check MCCI and VST at the end? Of course, Norbert, we can. Long consolidation all-time high will short pump dump sooner or later. So look, this is what. So after I have all of these guys, I got a reference. So one of the things that I can do is, for example, if I want to see what's happening on Tesla, and when I want to make sure that my levels are correct, I'll go to my daily. In my daily, look at it, it looks a little bit overwhelming, but this is how I look at it. I want to see where are we? Like you see how these pink lines here, the purple, we broke it, we went up, then here we broke it, and we went up, and then we broke it and went down, and then we broke it and come up, and now we're breaking it and coming down. So normally in my line of trade, I would like to see what's happening here, but we are not going anywhere so far. So I'll go to the 4 hours. I see a little bit better here what's happening on my 4 hours. So on the 4 hours, here's where I normally try to draw all my rectangles, my red and green rectangles. So let me just grab a little more to see what's happening here. So as you can see, we had a price action happening here. We had a price action happening here. Then we had a price action happening here. And now we have a price action happening here. You see? That's clear, right? That's what we need to, that's one of the things first things that we need to see if we are analyzing Tesla. So I know that we tried to hold this price action. We consolidated, we went a little lower, but we stayed around this area. And then all of a sudden we broke up here. And now we're trying to stay around this area. So what do I want to see on the next days? I want to see either holding my 236.15, because that's where everything, that's my previous rejection here. And then if I don't break here, I know that I have these other levels. So how do I set what my support and resistance levels are? That's what I do. Like if I find, like, for example, this used to be red. Now I remove this and I remove all of this rectangle here. And I can remove this previous rectangle here. I got reds from, and I know that this is going to be support. So if I see green here, I just extend it all the way to here. And then this was another resistance that I'm looking at. And here, as you can see, here's where you see how I'm using green. This is green. This was a previous red one, and now it became green here. So I leave my red one is to know that this was a previous rejection. This was a previous rejection that it became support, and then I see how my support, and the price action right now is happening. It's red, and then this was green, but we went below today. So what am I doing on my pre-market? If I go to my 30 minutes, if my pre-market stays below this, I just take this out remove my drawing, and this becomes right now. Why? Well, now it's becoming resistance. And as simple as once you have my rectangles made, I just switch them around depending where the price action is. So visually, I know that. You see how important this is on Tesla. As I repeated before, we're below my 20 daily SMA. So I want to see on the pre-market either resistance and coming down, and we're going to go down either to 236 or trying to hold above and then going back to this price action here and try to trade here again. I want to see Tesla going, or I'm expecting to see Tesla going back to this level here. Is it going to happen? Well, my pre-market is going to tell me what's going to happen. We don't have major news that, you know, there's no every reason why not to, just price action. So that's one of the things that I like to see. I'm just going to go to SMCI so we can see how it, oh, look at that. SMCI, it's a monster. What happened? SMCI was this split on here, 10-1. And then after that split, just consolidated. So what do we knew about this? SMCI, look at, I'm going to go to the pre-market, but I'm just going to draw some levels. I know that this was a lower one. Then I'm going to try to see if I grab one probably around this area. And then we got a resistance here. And I got one right here. So what do I know on SMCI? Like, we had any news or we have any clue that this was going to happen today? Not really. Why? Well, the only information we had today was this. This is what happened in the pre-market. What happened on SMCI for? I don't know if they had any demand. It was only by demand, just because it was cheaper. We have no specific component of news that it made it higher. What we knew is that we went all the way to 47.74 and that we flushed this day here because of news. And then we stay consolidating just at this level. And look at, this is my 20 daily SMA. The 20 daily SMA was never broken, never broken, never broken. And then all of a sudden, what happened here? Not only we broke it, but we smashed it up. And this was just made by pure demand. People were getting it. Now what we're trying to see here is, are we going to respect this price action that happened today? Well, probably I'm going to try to do a trend line like this, but I'm going to wait what happened on the pre-market, you know, price action to see if I'm going to do it like this and it's going to keep going higher, or I assume that this thing is going to try to trade sideways, or we're going to see a little up and down. So what do I love to see on SMCI? I would love to see it holding here to see if we go to another leg higher, or even better, we'll be trading lower and try to go down. But I don't think we're going to go lower. Why? Because we already kind of, you know, we went from here to here again. And where we find resistance? At the same level that we broke down. So this was our natural place to trim or be careful on our price action. You see how I didn't have any price levels here. And if you just draw where you can have a trend line with repeated touches, it always repeats itself. So yeah, oh, that is not an exact price. I can just put it here on top and it looks better. Look, there you go. So now you can see how touching. We have this touch, we have a barely touch. I'm gonna be exactly here we are. And that's the beauty of, as you know, going a little bit further. So what do I do here? I will do a square like this. I'll go to this will be for tomorrow. This is my first trend. I do a little rectangle like this. Then I copy it. And I have another rectangle like this that I can set right here with price action. And then I go to here, edit. I go to green. This will be my red. And red, I go to more, HSL. This is my transparency. I set it up in 77 just because it's easy to do tap 77. I got my red level here and my green level here. Edit property. I go to green, green, HSL, 77, green level set. So this will be my best green level? No. Why? I'd rather put it on top of here where I see these previous rejections. So I'm gonna grab this until this one here. So I'm gonna be careful trading between these two sides, and that happens to match with my 20 daily SMA. So this is my range. If I go above that, I'm gonna try to see if we break the 50 daily SMA, but this is how I set my range for what's gonna be happening tomorrow on SMCI. And that's from Northern there. And the other one was via viral VST, non-consolidation all-time high will short pump dump sooner or later. Yeah, I believe that first we dump and then we go all-time higher. GLD for long calls. 1 second, Cesar, and I'll go there. That's everyone meeting. Let's go to VST and then we go to GLD. VST. This is Vistra. Look at that. Wow. This is the previous levels that we had before. This is where we broke. And we'll try to go to the 1 hour. We set this level here before because of this resistance, and we went back at it. This is for Northern. So we are respecting our levels, Northern, again on Vistra. We knew that this was going to, we needed to get a little flush somewhere to have some air and then keep going. We could have been just going up the well higher, but we're respecting our 50 daily, you see? It's not that bad here. So we'll see that tomorrow we're going to hold on the pre-market. We might jump back on top of that 50 again. If not, this is going to be a nice short tomorrow. I'm going to keep an eye on this because every time that we were on top, we were higher. And now if we break and sustain below my 130 and my 50 SMA, I might see this flush all the way to maybe 120 or 109. So I'm going to keep an eye on BST for puts tomorrow.
Let me
And
know
we
if you
have
enter Empanada.
Of course, let's see what happened on the pre-market, Northern. Depending on the pre-market, it's going to set us up to if we're going to flush or not. So I don't have any levels on VST, but let's make them and see what happened here. So GLD, this is the previous level where I stopped drawing. So from here, I'm going to go to, again, here. I'm going to go to this one, this one, this one, and this one. So I know what my levels are on the, this is a beautiful bull flag here, and now we have some consolidation. And the other thing that I want to see here is, I'm going to draw a little, this is how I go through if I'm watching to see if I'm going to trade this tomorrow or not. So I will want to prepare if there is the possibility of this thing. This is the 4 hour, and I'm going to do a trend line. Why? Because it has the perfect chart to do a trend line like this, and I can go like this. So what am I watching for tomorrow? Well, for tomorrow, if I go to 30 minutes, I have a range. You see, I got a beautiful range here that I can keep an eye on it and see. And this is for my visual sake, most of it. I can extend it, but I don't care right now. I just care for tomorrow. So far, this is what I want to see. I want to see if, are we going to be holding 243.49 on GLD? If we don't hold, we're flushing back down to, at least 242 and then lower. But if we held, we got to be careful that if we go to this lower trend line and we support, we might grab a scalp for 245, but this is the price action. It's not being very volatile, so you got to be careful. Remember, we depend on volatility to make better trades and have a better return on the risk return. So we got to be careful on how do we trade this price action when you might be able to scalp a little move, but I rather wait for a break of this pattern and then trade from there, either higher or lower. But I want to see something trading along these lines. But this is where I will like, this is how I would see it. And if you want to have another short-term sort of trim, you can look at this here. These will be the levels that I will try to respect tomorrow on GLD. That's how I do it. As simple as, guys. You don't need to be too complicated. You don't need to be, you need to see it visually where we have repeated ourselves many times, and when the price action repeats, and then you can adjust it. You can micro adjust it afterward. You see it on the 5 minutes, and you want to see this. You see, I can see where my bounds are. So if I see this price action keep on going lower, you might want to try to grab calls, and those calls grab all the way here, or if we break down, you get it down here. I like it. I like this. You see how easy and visually can be if you set some draw. If you come from the 4 hours and you set, look at how this pennant sort of is just perfectly there. And then you got to be careful with this. Look at the 20 daily SMA, how we're separated, and then we're getting closer again. So I'm not going to be surprised if this comes a little lower until it meets the 20, and then there is going to be the bounce. So we got to be careful with that. Let me see if you have any other questions. What do you think of GLD? Chop. Laro. I'm going to do an NCLH and ENPH. Yeah, let's do it. Where are we, trade? ENPH. Let's go to the 4 hours. Let's see what our. This is the levels that I had on ENPH. I got this, probably this new one around this area here. There we go. So this is what I got so far. And for here, I'm going to use a channel. I'm going to use a trend line. I'm going to use a channel because I like that to be visually better. So this is what I got for you, Viral. This is how the way I will look at this trade. So for tomorrow, you gotta see a hold around this area here at 102.38. If not, we're gonna keep flushing. And if we see in the pre-market any move higher, because you see we bounce on my Bollinger Bands here. Let me go to the charts, and I'm gonna use, this is an EPH with my daily, so not with the Bollinger Bands, with my normal SMAs and daily SMAs. And you see we are below everything here. So this is a very bullish so far. We have to see how much we can go lower, but we have to respect this level, the 102, that is the same that I have on my other Bollinger Band, you see. But here I don't have any reference. So that's why sometimes I'd rather go to my let's see. I'd rather go to my trade, and I can see my Bollinger Band. So you see, with my Bollinger Band, I have a better visual. We're respecting the Bollinger Band on the 4 hours, and my last sort of touch was a consolidation here, and I see my TTM squeeze sort of doing my concave here. So am I going to see a push here and a break, or am I going to keep trading downward here? So the pre-market is going to tell me if we're going to have a bounce out of this trend line, or we're going to have a break up, or where we're going to be. So that's important of the pre-market. If I go to the 5 minutes, you're going to see it better here. 5 minutes, I can draw this, and I adjust to what we trade normally, and all this information here in the 5 minutes. So you see, we're in the middle, we're squeezing. That's what ENPH is squeezing. And you see, I want to see red coming here somewhere, and then a green, it's gonna in either way, but we're not doing anything right now, just sideways. And NCHL was the name. Sounds like the hockey. Where is it? NCLH. Laro, I don't have anything on NCLH. Nothing there. Let's see. Thanks. Caesar in daily time frame squeezing inside triangle. Thank you for your presentation. Yeah. Hey guys. 9 p.m. Let me see if I can find what I was looking for. This, but I don't see NCHL. I don't have anywhere. I typed it wrong. Sorry. Where is it? NCLH. NC. You see NCLH. Okay, that's the time. Sorry. It's 3 in the morning here. My bad, my bad, my bad. So let's see what do we got here. So this is the price action on the 4 hours. I need to move one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. This is what I have right now. So I know that this is going to be a strong resistance right here. And I know that this is going to be so far my first point of support. So I set up this like this, and I will adjust it on my here we go. So I know that this go all the way there, but I'm just gonna use it with this reference. And from here, I'm gonna try to see if I go to the 30 minutes, and this is what I see. So now I can see, I can adjust this a little better the way I like it. It's always this, this is what I see right now. And so far on this price action, it's, look at this. Look at on Norwegian Cruise Line, look at how we are, this, I'm very interested in this, on the hold. I want to see on the pre-market, holding my 20 daily SMA here and try to go higher. If we don't hold, we're going to flush back to 1935. But this is my key for me, indicator that if we're going to, are we going to hold strong or are we going to go weaker? So my 20 daily is going to tell me what happened on the pre-market. I'm going to actually add this one to my watch list for my actual portfolio for tomorrow. Just add it, and after that, what I'm going to look for is, depending on the price action tomorrow, is, am I going to be able to do something like this? Are we going to be trading below or on top of that? That's going to be my key part. Thank you, Laro, for that one. Sorry about the name. I'm struggling with that one, but I'm not sure if you already did, but can you go over JPM trade? Oh yeah, I can go from JPM today, of course. Daily time frame squeezing inside channel. Thanks.
Thank you,
You
Empanada.
strong?
I appreciate everything you do for us, man.
No, man. This is a two-side street. I learn from you guys, and I see new trades, I see new names, and I share what I see. Not all the time I'm gonna be, right, and I'm not all the time doing, we learn, as I said, the more heads and the more eyes we have, the more opportunity we have to beat the market. That's what we want. We want to beat the market and be green. But thank you for the time that you share with me, guys, here. I know sometimes it's a little more exciting, sometimes it's not that much. I haven't been my 100% because I'm, it's 3 a.m. here, and sometimes I get a little the jet lag. It's been taking a toll on me. So sorry about that, guys. But JPM, I'm gonna go to JPM because This is what I'm looking on JPM. So this is what I was looking at JPM, guys. See, you see, this is, remember, always trade out of my dailies SMAs. We got a huge bounce on JPM. We had a beautiful yesterday hold above the 20, correct? And look what happened today. Today, let me just move here. And this is why I grabbed it. As I said, doesn't mean that it has to be right. Doesn't mean that it's going to work 100%, but this is why I grabbed it. And remember, the only thing that you need to trade is the conviction of what you set up to trade. Like, you know, if that was my plan and I traded it and it didn't work because the price action didn't help, but I still like it. And what happened is we held on above the 20 daily SMA and we held above the 50 all the time. And at the 30 minutes, we are holding above the 50. So I said, well, for me, if I'm holding above the 50 and I see some price action going higher, I'm going to grab calls. And here was sort of my train of thought. Here's my stop loss is going to be around this area. I'm going to try to grab it here. And then I'm trying to see if I can grab my first trim, second trim. If I go to the 5 minutes, this is what happened. I tried to grab it on this retest. You see, did it work? Well, I saw a green, that the contracts went green for like, I don't know, 10%, 12%, something like that, a little higher even, and then it went down. This was my plan? No, my plan was to go higher and go up. I set up I stopped with my 20%. I said, I'm not gonna do a stop here and try to get out and try and take some gains. I waited it, and then it didn't happen. You know, we went below my 50 here, and we trade a little lower, and we're holding. You see, I'm still interested on this trade because we're holding my 200 SMA, and I'm on top again of the 50. If I see my 50 daily SMA not crossing above my 200 but holding and going up, I'm getting in again. Why? Because, well, I like my theory. My theory is that if we hold a 50 daily SMA, we're going to go higher. So was I that bad? Marginally. It was a good idea, but hey, the price action did not help. But also, guys, I said that this was a swing. Why? Well, we have bank earnings on Friday. And I did hold a couple, because I do think that if banks do well on Friday, JPM is going to benefit out of it, and I'm going to save whatever contracts I trim on negative on the -20. So, but why? Because I have the conviction that this thing might go higher. And if I go to Morgan Stanley, it held again. If I see my GS, it held on top. If I see my VAC, it held. So all my banks are holding pretty much my level the ways I want on any of my different dailies SMA, depending on the price action for that specific name it's trading, but it's holding. And if I want to see my whole move, this is what the XLF did. Look at very important, guys. Look where the XLF is holding, right at my 20 daily SMA. And now it's trading above. So what am I expecting on my XLF tomorrow? That it's going to go back up somewhere around there, and then my JPM is going to be valid again. So that's why I grabbed that trade. Oh, I was expecting my XLF to go higher here. I wasn't expecting this, but I love this. So I will probably go back again on that trade. No need to apologize. We're grateful for you. Do you prefer to trade each bank, or I like to trade sometimes the XLF? It's less volatile than the individual names. But if I want more volatility, I will go to GS, MS, or JPM. Or if I want to go into for me, it sounds like a safer move and a little more, you see how this compare with the price action of the individuals. I will go for the XLF. So normally if I grab the XLF, I will grab a bigger position than if I do it on the individual names. That's how I separate it. So depending how risky I'm gonna be for the day, or if the price action, presents itself, I will go for one or the other. But if I want more like past volatility, I will go for specific names. Even you see some names not necessarily all the banks go up at the same time, because some of them have, different reserves, different news, and it happens that not all of them jump on news. Any other question, guys? I don't want to take you too long here. Thank you very much, as usual, for your company and your questions. And, always, I thought that this might be a nice, different, subject than what we normally talk about, just because, so we all go through, what do we do on the pre-market? Or do we follow someone? Do we do something? What do we watch? So this is what I normally do at 8 a.m. From 8 to 9, this is what I do. And from 9 to 9:30, I'll just grab a coffee and watch. That's it. But from 8 to 9, this is what I do. And and from 9 to 9:30, I just set the names that I like to set on my active trader, and I just watch, from different people talking about different names to see if there's something that, I skipped. So many times on the trade floor or in any other news, you see other names, there are people trading that I might not be watching, and I keep an eye on it to see, oh, I like this setup, I don't like it. Yeah, let me keep an eye on this one. So have a great night. Thank you again, everyone, for the questions and the company. And I hope that we have a great day tomorrow. I hope, for me, that we go up. So I want to see a bounce and everything. We'll see what happens. Have a great night, guys. Take care. If you have any other questions, please DM me.